Discord. I need to put it in here. I'm in so many fucking cryptid chats on here. Huh. Okay, I need to kick. And I'm gonna post it here. See. Okay. And I need to send it to one more thing, which I completely forgot what I was gonna send it to, but oh shit, no, now I remember. All right, we're gonna get started here in just a minute. Yeah, no. Also, it is current. Oh god, I need to mute that. But yeah, no, it's raining outside right now currently, so fun shit. Fun shit. We'll have to check that here in a minute. Hmm. All right, let's see. Okay, there we go. All right. All right, so we're gonna get started here just in a couple seconds, but before we begin, I kind of want to say before we start, since a lot of people don't like to stay around for like the very very end. We have social media in the link in the description below. We got two discords, one for cryptids, one for ghosts. check me out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can message me at gmail.com. Check out my Tumblr. I think I have a Reddit. I have a Reddit on there as well, and a new form that someone made for me. So be sure to check those out. I pretty much respond to you guys as well. Like if you guys message me, reach out to me, I will definitely more than likely respond to you guys. So just wanted to say that before we start. Just because I'm trying to get the discords and everything a little bit more populated. So be sure to check those out. Be sure to check them out. So hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to Cryptocast, your source for all things crypto-related, unknown, paranormal. I'm your host Parker, and welcome back to another Cryptocast Livestream. And judging by the title, um, it's Cryptid Bugs. And no, I did not just flip off the camera. I promise. It's Cryptid Bugs, or insects in this case. I mean, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, cryptid insects. So, I mean, I know a lot of people kind of have fears of insects and bugs, but I mean, there's like really no real life pictures of them at all, just pretty much just drawings. So, just to kind of put everyone at ease a little bit who's afraid of those things, it's just drawings, no pictures whatsoever. So, um, we're gonna be talking about cryptid insects today, and out of all the cryptids, honestly, that science like still has not confirmed real yet. I really feel like insects could are probably one of the ones that are more likely to exist because some because they're really small. I mean, in this case on the list, some of these things are fucking massive, which we'll be talking about later, but a lot of them are pretty small and there's a good chance that they exist because they haven't been really seen or watched or verified in any any way or shape or form. So we're gonna be kind of talking about some of these guys today. So let me get the info that I have pulled up on him, and we will get started with the video. Cryptid insects. Ooh, massive Pokemon Sword and Shield League reveals 21 new moves. So hey, if you guys play Pokemon Sword and Shield, you're getting some new moves. Um, I want to get a Switch so I can play one of them at least. I'm gonna buy one off of a friend, but yeah, no, I haven't played any of them yet, and I kind of want to, even though the animations aren't that great. I kind of want to check them out. So, all right, let's get started here. So a lot of people, like ants, they're like a colony. They're like soldiers essentially in a colony. So there is a cryptid. Oh god, my thing's kind of freezing up a bit. There we go. So we have the Ant-Man. Oh, and oh my god, I need to shrink that. We got Ant-Man. And these guys are pretty funky. I love these guys. Ant-Men were army ants that were human-sized, and they appear in Greek mythology. So, um, I forgot where exactly in Greek mythology these appear in. It does talk about the history of them in here, so we might be able to get to that. But they are human-sized ants, essentially. Um, and as you can tell, they wielded weapons and shields and all that stuff, and they're essentially their own army. Um, they could carry and use 4 weapons at a time because they're insects. They have 6 legs, but in this case, they need 2 to walk on, and they have the 4 hands ready to defend themselves with. So pretty much, these guys are pretty powerful. Um, and use their large red eyes to see you from all directions at once. They could easily crush a human soldier's skull with their huge, powerful jaws. Just as ants were extremely organized and had no fear of death, given the order, they would rush and eagerly enter any battle. Also, unlike real ants, they never took any prisoners. They, like ants, were extremely strong. So, these guys are just merciless on the battlefield. Um, like they said, the jaws could crush a human's head. They got all these weapons in their 4 hands and their red eyes, and insects have those compound eyes, so they can kind of see like everywhere. So like if you're coming up trying to sneak on one, it can still kind of see you coming. So um, don't fuck with the Ant-Man. So the story goes that after a devastating plague killed off the entire population of the Isle of Aegina, the governing king begged his father Zeus to repopulate his kingdom with its ants. This created an army of fierce and eager warriors that took direction and remained loyal to this king. The king's son Plesius took a group of these human-sized insects to the Greek city of Thessaly. The sons of Plesius, Achilles, even led this group of fierce warriors to battle in the legendary Trojan War. So, according to Greek mythology, these guys were present at the Trojan War. And some people believe that these ants were actually extraterrestrial in origin in a way as well. Because there are a bunch of, I don't know, like insect aliens, which are on this list as well that we will talk about. So, it's pretty much up to interpretation whether you guys believe that these were creations of the gods or extraterrestrial in origin. So you guys decide right there. But I don't know. I really like these guys. I thought these were cool. Hey Sandra, how are you? Good to see you. But yeah, I do love the Ant Men. I really like these Ant Men. They're pretty cool. Now we're going to talk about the Arkansas snipe. I swear I just saw it. Oh shit. Oh, okay, there we go. That's smaller than what I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be massive. So let me just check the live chat once more. Hey, I'm glad to hear it. I hope you're doing well with everything going on in the world right now. I'm doing pretty all right. I started back at work a couple days ago. I'm not too thrilled about it because I'm a massive germaphobe myself. Um, so I'm not too thrilled to be back at work. That being said, um, yeah. Um, so we're talking about the Arkansas snipe. The Arkansas snipe, or the skeeteroo, and I guess that because it's a giant mosquito, is a fierce folklore. So this guy comes straight from lumberjack folklore. Um, the legend tells that a lumberjack was lost in Arkansas. He went up on a hill to orient himself. When he came back, the horse wasn't there. Two Arkansas snipes ate the horse, chomped the saddle, and spat out the horseshoes. In another version, the giant insects devour a cow and brush their teeth with the cow's horns. An American salesman searched and okay, this is worded horribly. An American salesman, and then it says, and search a man. Now, an American salesman searched for a man named Daniel. The two men started walking around the swamp. Soon they heard the bell of a cow and walked to see the cow. When they arrived, they saw a dead cow with a mosquito standing on 2 feet and shaking the bell to call other cows to make them arrive to their fate. The mosquitoes looked more like raccoons, but they also had claws that, if they kicked the cow, would pierce the heart of the cow. Shot through the heart and you're to blame. You give love a bad name. And there's plenty of. And there's also the story of Bill Jenkins, the largest man from Arkansas, who got up one night and two mosquitoes grabbed him and carried him with them. The mosquitoes started to talk if they should hide him in the swamp, but decided not to hide him in the swamp because bigger mosquitoes would steal their prey. There's also a story that tells that a man hid two mosquitoes under a cauldron, so they started to make holes in the cauldron to escape. The man pulled away their prickles so they wouldn't escape, but the mosquitoes um, flew away with the cauldron and the human. Yeah, no, I apologize for that. That article is just worded absolutely horribly. So I hope you guys kind of got the gist of it. So it's just a giant mosquito that it's like a really intelligent giant mosquito that that can kill cows, kill people. It's just humanoid giant, and apparently it looks like a raccoon. Let me make this big. That doesn't look like a raccoon to me. That looks more like a giant mosquito. If I'm being completely honest here, that's not a raccoon. And next up on the list, we do have another mosquito, another big mosquito creature. Um, I've got to find him. Okay, here he is. All right, let's see. That's massive. I gotta shrink him. Um, this has a weird name. I'm probably actually going to butcher this name right here, but it's called the Averasboro Gallinipper. That's a tongue twister. Say the Averasboro Gallinipper. Um, the Aver the Averasboro Gallinipper is a giant mosquito reportedly as large as a hawk. So if you've seen a hawk like red-tailed hawks or any of your local hawks in your area just kind of flying around, it's about as big as that. So it's bird size. It's bird size, like medium bird size. The sting it carries on its head could the stinger it carries on its head could slice all the way through a man's arm. A bite from the gallonipper could mean death. The mosquito could drain all the blood from a man in a single gulp. More than the alligators, more than the bears, more than the panthers that hid in the trees, the lumbermen who worked the swamps of North Carolina feared the gallonipper. The legend of the gallonipper originates around an abandoned town of Adversboro. However, many coastal towns in North Carolina have seen similar versions of the story, including the state's oldest town, Bath. The earliest accounts of a giant mosquito come from the American Indian traditional mythology. Only a century surrounded by a grove and a Civil War museum remind anyone passing through this port town of Aversboro that it existed. According to Monsters of North Carolina by John Hare, the town's property records of the 1850s reveal that 13 of the 14 public buildings in the town sold liquor. According to tradition, one of the town's taverns had a skeleton of what looked like a large flying animal suspended from the ceiling, its bones carefully wired together in a job that would have made many a museum curator proud. The skeleton had originally belonged to a large bird, perhaps a tundra swan, Cygnus columbius, which the proprietor or one of his friends had killed on a hunting excursion to the Outer Banks. Someone had removed the beak from the skeleton and replaced it with a long, scrimshawed piece of bone that tapered to look like a large needle. Around the neck of the trophy hung a wooden plank, upon which someone had roughly inscribed on the words Aversboro Gallinipper. This trophy was meant to remind the visitors that swarms of mosquitoes were so large that they were mistaken for birds. Belief in large mosquitoes was so widespread that the workmen cutting timber along the cape kept a wary eye out for the creature. Um, let's see what else it has to say. Let me just check the live chat really quick before we continue. All right. The Tuscarora were an Iroquoian people that were originally from the area of the Great Lakes in present-day New York. Around the 500 CE, they began migrating out and settled in North Carolina. The powerful Tuscarora nation blocked colonial expansion toward the Piedmont and south to Cape Fear. So most members of the tribe left North Carolina following their defeat in 1715 CE. Tuscarora chief Elias Johnson, an 1800s chronicler of his tribe's history and lore, wrote of a mosquito as large as a man called the roteo, stating it flew about with vast wings, making a loud noise with a long stinger on whomsoever it lighted. It sucked out all the blood and killed him. Many warriors were destroyed in this way, and all attempts to subdue it were in vain. Eventually, the creature's heart was pierced by an arrow and spawned numerous small mosquitoes that inhabit the world today. So, according to Native American mythology, this giant mosquito, once the heart got pierced, it pretty much was the mother of all mosquitoes in the world today. The Carolina Cherokee have a version of the Tuscarora Rayteu myth. However, in their version, the creature is a giant yellow jacket wasp called Ulagu. The Cherokee say that Ulagu was large enough to swoop down and pick up children and carry them back to its lair, a cave in western North Carolina called Sangagnuny, meaning where the yellow jacket was. James Mooney wrote of a legend saying the hunters built fires um, around the hole so that smoke filled the cave and smothered the great insect, and multitudes of the smaller ones escaped and increased until now. Yellow jackets, which were unknown, are all over the world. In both the Tuscarora and Cherokee stories, smaller modern insects were created when the giant one was killed. In 1855, a lumber worker named Red Saunders was reportedly stung by a galliniper. However, some versions of the story claim the giant mosquito bite was actually caused by hot coal. Irish immigrants to the Cape Fear region have also reported seeing giant mosquitoes in the 1850s. Hair John, Monsters of North Carolina, mysterious creatures in the Tar Heel State, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania stockpile print, and that's pretty much just an illustration that somebody did. Giant mosquito flying and coming for people. Yeah, no, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. All right, let's see. This one was under insects for some reason. The next one that I'm going to be talking about, and I don't know why. I really don't. But I figure, you know what? It's on insects. Let's give it a talk. Let's talk about it. All right, let's see. Where is this? Oh, there it is. Okay, so this for some reason was in insects. It's called the Butler Gargoyle. The Butler Gargoyle is a Mothman-like creature around 7 to 8 feet tall that was sighted from June in 1993 to March 2011. It was described to have a bicycle helmet-like head with palish gray skin. The first sighting was in June 1993. Witnesses were looking at Allentown, Pennsylvania, when they saw a 7-foot tall creature walk in front of their car, and he was not even scared of the car. In March 2011, a man was driving a rural road when he thought he was coming up on a deer. When he got closer, however, he saw that it was a 7 to 8 feet tall, that it was 7 to 8 feet tall and had a Mothman-like stature. Um, in Chicora, Pennsylvania, a few witnesses claimed to see a Mothman creature as they came out of the bar. Considering they were drinking, this sighting is unlikely. Um, so it's essentially kind of like a Mothman creature. Not much is entirely known on it, but I mean, it's more popular than the Mothman. No, I mean, the Mothman is more popular than this creature. My bad, my bad. um, but yeah, no, it's still cool. Mothman's more well known. That's what I meant to say. I am so sorry, guys. I have been going to bed so late, honestly, late at night. So I'm kind of fucking out of it. I'm kind of fucking out of it. All right, now these guys come from my home state in Missouri, and these are called the Butterfly People of Joplin. Have you heard of the Butterfly People of Joplin? People say they saw them May 22nd, 2011, when a deadly tornado devastated the town, and that was the Good Friday tornado, um, which killed a bunch of people. And it was a really bad, and it was a really big deal, really huge event. Tons of lives lost. It was a really big statewide tragedy. From that day, pictures of destruction surfaced. Stories of the missing and the survivors dominated the news. The world got a glimpse of the tragedy that occurred in southwest Missouri. But one of the strange stories remains almost 3 years later, the story of the butterfly people. In the wake of the destruction, after the wind had settled, children who endured the storm began telling those family, friends, and relatives of the stories of what they saw. Some said that the butterfly people protected them during the storm. Although there are many versions of the story, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports that there were two common descriptions of the sightings. Both of those accounts share the same foundation. The tornado barreled toward a child and a parent, but the child saw a butterfly person hovering above, protecting them. In both stories, the parent and child emerged unharmed. As accounts circulated, more and more children came forward saying that they too saw the butterfly people. Some say they believe that the butterfly people were angels. Others call them an indescribable presence. The December prior to the storm, a mural artist, Dave Lowenstein, visited Joplin to scout a site for his next project. After the tornado, Lowenstein didn't know what would become of the idea. He returned to Joplin that June to visit with the Cultural Affairs Committee and see what the future held for his latest location on his community mural project. It was a, in a town meeting. It was in a town meeting held to generate ideas for the mural that the artist first heard of the butterfly people. More than 200 volunteers worked with Lowenstein and the mural designers to create a scene painted on the side of Dixie Printing, which sits halfway between downtown and the center of destruction from the tornado. 200 of the volunteers were local children from the community. Lowenstein had them draw pictures which would serve as inspiration for the project. With no original intent of including the tales of the butterfly people, the artist soon discovered that many children drew them. Lowenstein was skeptical of including the butterfly people, but says that they represent a metamorphosis, the rebirth of the city. The mural was titled The Butterfly Effect, and Lowenstein told the Post-Dispatch that he hopes it inspires people to do good work. 15 local artists and community members also took part in designing the mural. Assistant muralist Amber Hansen said that this project serves as an outlet of those affected to share their emotions and experiences. The mural is the first site of what the Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce Cultural Affairs Committee hopes to be many more of community-based murals. So during the Good Friday tornado that pretty much wreaked havoc here in Joplin, um, I'm not from Joplin. I'm kind of far from it actually, but it's alleged that these butterfly people protected children and their parents during the tornadoes and kept them safe. So I don't know, that's pretty cool. And the fact that they inspire kind of like a whole mural, the butterfly effect, um, I just think that's pretty neat. So I definitely wanted to include them on this list. So we were kind of talking about those. So I kind of mentioned those alien insect-like creatures earlier. We're gonna be talking about some of those right now. And holy shit, it's in. This was made by someone named Nathan in 2010, and this is called the Crazy Critter of Bald Mountain. And this one's pretty fun. I like this one a lot. Um, Crazy Critter of Bald Mountain is an alleged insect-like creature confronted by several shocked motorists during the evening of November 17th, 1974 on Bald Mountain. The state of Washington, the United States, has 15 peaks named Bald Mountain. The location where the sighting took place was situated reportedly 20 miles east of the Chilius, Washington, located near Newaukum Lake. This was a particularly low peak with an elevation of 3,619 feet. Despite reports, the peak seemed to be closer to around 40 miles east of Chileas based on its coordinates from the U.S. Geological Survey. Um, excuse me. On November 14th, 1974, a fiery object in the sky was witnessed crashing to Earth near Bald Mountain in Lewis County, Washington. Within a week of this event, two parties in the area reported encountering a strange creature. It was the size of a horse, with tentacles and antenna, and most notably giving off a strong green glow like a neon sign in the fog. These reports soon reached the local paper and eventually the Lewis County Sheriff, who said he began an investigation but was soon visited by heavily armed men claiming to be from the U.S. Air Force. They insisted on taking over the investigation from him, and whether they captured it or managed to return it to where it came from, that was the last time anyone heard of the crazy critter. 3 nights earlier, only about 5 miles away, a UFO of the unidentified fiery object kind of plummeted to Earth, but this had attracted little publicity until Seattle grocer Ernest Smith saw the crazy critter. According to Smith's description, cited in Jim Brandon's book Weird America in 1978, he says, "It was horse-sized, covered with scales, and standing on four rubbery legs with suckers-like octopus tentacles. Its head was football-shaped with antennae sticking up. The thing gave off this green, iridescent light." The glow was also spied by Mr. and Mrs. Roger Ramsbog from Tacoma. As they came closer to investigate, the two were confronted with the same weird wonder, complete with antennae and suckered legs that Smith had seen earlier. Such reports as these soon attracted the attention of the local authorities, headed by Lewis County Sheriff William Wister. but some accounts claim that he was instructed by the Air Force and NASA officials not to continue his investigations, and his own team of county officials was replaced by what Brand refers to as a special NASA team, including heavily armed military unit wearing uniforms with no insignia. And after that, pretty much, um, the crazy critter was never really sighted again. And it's just kind of a weird, unknown phenomenon now in Washington. So if you're in the Washington area, maybe check out Bald Mountain at some point. Let me know if anything's still there. I mean, I doubt it because this was like over a decade. Like, yeah, no, this was like over a decade ago. So I don't know. Wow, I don't eight. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, guys. I am so sorry. Um, I clicked a AT&T ad on here by mistake, and I'm like, well, that's our next cryptid, AT&T. Um, let's see. Now these guys are kind of on here. I don't know why these are in here. I can kind of see why they were on here, but okay, these are called dark fairies. Let's see. What are fairies doing on a website devoted to cryptozoology? Most cryptozoologists are not interested in fairies. Fairies are more of a preoccupation of 19th century fringe science rather than a subject of suitable inclusion in the science of cryptozoology. However, this does not mean that all cryptozoologists scoff at fairies. According to express.co.uk news, fairy sightings have recently had a surge and portrayed more creepy and disturbing, similar to the legend of the I don't know how to pronounce that. Oh, the dark there's a translation dark elves. Dark elves and light elves are two contrasting types of fairies. The prior dwell within the earth, and most are swarthy, while the latter live in Alfamir and are more fairier than the sun to look at. I don't know what any of that means. Um, Belief in fairies was once widespread. Famous men such as Walt Disney and Battle of Britain hero Lord Dowding were members of the Fairy Investigation Society founded in 1927. Walt Disney was a fairy hunter? I did not know that. I don't know how accurate that is, but if Walt Disney's a fairy hunter, actually no, I kind of want someone to do a fan art of that. If anyone out there is good at art, draw Walt Disney um and like I don't know, like some other Disney characters like fucking hunting Tinkerbell down. I don't know. That's just bizarre to me. Like fucking Walt Disney being a fairy hunter. Um, but yeah, no, that would be cool fan art. The dark elves and light elves are different in behavior and appearance. Um, so the dark elves they would tear the light elves limb from limb. According to legend, the dark elves were born as maggots, feeding on the corpse of Ymir, which is the giant frost giant, with their ghostly pale skin, glowing red eyes, and clad in blue-gray armor. They are more fearsome than any goblins. First mentioned by Snorri Sturluson in his book The Edda, which was written in the 12th century AD, the dark elves have been thought of as bad or evil all for almost the last millennium. The 17th century, by the 17th century in Christian folklore, they were blamed for causing diseases to the cattle and people by using elf shot, a type of crossbow, bolt, or arrow. The arrow heads could also be used in rituals by both fairies and witches. Maggots appeared in Ymir's flesh and came to life. By the decree of the gods, they acquired human understanding and they acquired appearance of men, although they lived in the earth and in rocks. So pretty much these elves I don't know why they were in insects. These really aren't insects. I mean, I guess because they came from maggots they're technically considered insects, but holy shit, I did not know that Walt Disney is a fairy hunter. I no wait, Walt Disney, fucking Crocker from the Fairly Odd Parents. um I want to see them two go on a fairy hunt. Now we have something called the the Dijon, and it's not Dijon, it's not the mustard. It's pretty damn neat. There he is. Let me get him. There we go. This right here is the Dijon, the divine bird known as the Dijon. The Thretch Long River was, which is what it means. That's what the Dijon means. The Thirch Long River was like a yellow sack with an aura of cinnabar. Borges, calling it the T-Chang, described it as a bright red. It had 6 legs, 4 wings, but no eyes or facial features of any kind. Living in a perpetual state of confusion, it was also fond of singing and dancing. This state of confusion led to the association of Dijang with Hudon being of cosmic chaos. The undifferentiated Hudon had no eyes, ears, mouth, or orifices of any sort and died when guests tried to drill openings into its body. Yeah, that would kill about anyone. Drilling holes into someone's body. Yeah, who would have thought? Speaking of insects, there's a fucking moth. Dijang's descriptions can be found in the Guideways Through the Mountains and Seas, where it is located in the Celestial Mountain, along with large quantities of metal and jade. Borges attributes it to the Tai Quan Chi. The 4 wings and 6 legs, as well as a lack of apparent head, suggests that it may be a magnified insect of some sort, which is why it's on the insect list. So people are like, this could be an insect just kind of like blown up a bit. All right, we're getting there. We got the Dundas Island Blackfly next, and this one's fucking really neat. So Dundas Island. Okay, this didn't save as Dundas. I downloaded this and saved as Dumbass. Um, so the Dundas Island blackfly, aka flesh-eating fly, is a species of insect native to the Dundas Island in Canada. They can grow about 5 to 6 inches in length and are almost completely black. When they hunt their prey, they drink the blood as well as eat the flesh of their catch. Not only that, but they also hunt for hours and won't give up unless the victim leaves the island. It would appear that they are unable to leave the island for some reason. They have enough venom to kill a cow. So this is a screenshot from the Secret Saturdays. You can see the main villain, Vivi Argas, in the background. Um, but yeah, the Dundas Island blackfly. Um, they drink the blood. They have venom, and they can eat flesh, and they can kill cows. They're pretty nasty, pretty nasty. But I think they're cool. I think they're cool. Now we have a worm. Let me get the worm on the list right now. Up on the screen. I mean, where is he? Holy shit, that's big. This is called the Desiwakta worm. The Dizzy-Wayakta worm. The Dizzy-Wayakta, literally meaning 9, is allegedly highly poisonous worm living in Mazowiecki region of Poland. It was described in the 12th century by Oscar Kohlberg in Mazowiecki Tom 7? What the heck? Everything's in Roman numerals. I'm not good at reading Roman numerals. Um, is allegedly a dark finger-sized worm with large pincers. Its body is segmented into 9 parts, and on each there is an eye-shaped spot. In Klodzowski near Suwałki, the Zikutas lived in large swarms in tall grass. I should know. I should know how to pronounce these. I'm part Polish, but I don't know how to speak Polish. The dizzy koa got its name from the fact that if anyone is bitten by it, he or she always dies after 9 days have passed. After someone is bitten, the bite mark soon turns into a large pea-sized pimple. The pain is said to be unbearable, and insomnia, loss of appetite, and nausea occur, and death always comes on the 9th day. The Dead Cow might be nothing more than people being superstitious. It was probably just a regular pupa, larva, or worm, and the deaths could be caused by some pathogen which the primitive village people connected with the larva. So it could just be a regular insect, or it could be a some kind of weird worm that kills you in, I don't know, 9 days. It's kind of like the Ring. Instead of 7 days, 9 days. Um, you get a call. 9 days. We got another alien, guys, to talk about right now. Where is he? There he is. This is called the Garson Invader. That's not a bad size. Okay. Okay, so these are the Garson Invaders. The Garson Invaders sighting was an extraterrestrial sighting that took place on July 2nd, 1954 at about 5 p.m. 23-year-old Canadian miner named Ennio La Sarza, originally Italian, spotted three of the aliens, reporting them as just that more than just hostile, but more outright apocalyptic. As Sarza accounted them as not only that Ennio had absolutely no interest in science fiction, particularly flying saucers, and very likely little green men in his opinion. That is until he spotted the Garson invaders. The saucer was a spherical shape, about 25 feet in diameter, and had a set of portholes around the edges of it. There were pieces of the landing gear and something like a retractable antenna on top. The entities that emerged from the craft were described as colossal entities, 13 feet in height, with bluish green skin and faces of a color he had never seen before. Their bodies seemed to glow, and they had a single eye in the center of what passed as a forehead. The beings had six evenly distributed sets of arms, and the hands were equipped with crab-like claws, which opened and closed spasmodically. They were also equipped with a natural twin antenna in the head. The presumed leader of these frightening figures began to scuttle towards the terrified La Salazar, who instinctively tried to back away, only to be suddenly struck by what can be categorized as a psychic blow. So the Garson invaders are like giant crab-like insect creatures that are very hostile, very dangerous, and they have psychic telekinetic powers. So um, these guys are pretty neat. Now, next one we're going to be talking about is actually a hoax cryptid. So that means it never actually existed. It did in some way exist by like photoshopping media and everything, but we're going to talk about it because it's cool to talk about these things still, even though they might be fake. All right. Giant grasshoppers were popular subjects for the tall tale hoax postcards, particularly in the Great Plains during the 1930s when grasshoppers were a common pest. The top photo shows a scene captured by an unknown photographer near Mitchell, South Dakota. Three men struggle to subdue the largest grasshopper in existence. The whopper hopper appears to be a wooden model. And here is that image right there. The bottom image was created, which is the one on screen, by Frank D. Pop Conrad of Garden City, Kansas. He was considered to be the master of the Whopper Hopper genre of postcards. In this image by Conrad, a farmer hauls out a particularly large hopper specimen. The giant grasshoppers are indeed hoaxes and are actually wooden models and photoshopped images. So this is kind of like how during like the 1930s Great Depression era, how they kind of like brought a little joy to the town since the grasshoppers were big pests. They just try to show them in this light, get people to kind of laugh a bit during that dark time. And I think that's kind of neat. I think that's kind of neat. And with today especially, we need a lot of like laughs right now and some joy. We're going to talk about the Jin Shin Mushi. Now, if this one sounds familiar, it probably is. I did a cryptid ratings on it about like a few weeks back, maybe. Um, so probably about like a month, maybe. So, the Mushi is an insect from Japan folklore. It is described as a fist-sized insect, so pretty damn big. Um, that has branch-like appendages sprouting from their thorax, which could generate sound waves. The sound waves generated by this creature were capable of affecting many different types of minerals, and that causes them to collapse. A swarm of them can cause small earthquakes. This special ability was influenced by nature to scare rival species from their dens. It appeared in the Secret Saturdays cartoon called The Secret Saturdays. It appeared in the Jinshin Mushi was an alias for the Muto Prime that appeared in the graphic novel Godzilla Aftershock. So this is a screenshot from the Secret Saturdays where they appeared in that show. They had those appendages, and like if a bunch of them get together, they can cause an earthquake. So I haven't seen the show in a while, so I can assume these guys are trying to cause an earthquake right now. All right, we got this might be a shorter live stream than normal, actually, because I only got 4 more left, and I'm only like 45 minutes in. We're gonna talk about the Mantis Man. Here he is, Mantis Man. Mantis Man is a roughly 7 foot tall bug like creature that had been reported near the Muscatong River. This cryptid mostly resembles a praying mantis, which is why it's called Mantis Man, and is unlikely to be related to the Mantota order, which I assume is the order that the praying mantises come from. The odd thing about the two sightings that were present is the fact that both men were out fishing and saw it near a body of water. Praying mantises usually don't spend their times in water. Usually they spend their times on leaves and in the forest. Though man- mantises may be able to swim in shallow water with its huge size. What? Oh, with its huge size, it can touch the bottom of the river without its whole body drifting away through the current. In all of the reports, the mantis man doesn't harm anyone. It's likely afraid of the people who encounter it because it seems to always run away when they get too close to it. Unlike the unlike the two on Monsters and Mysteries in America, there was in fact another sighting of the Mantis Man. The police report tells that another person called Mr. Strickler saw the Mantis Man in a riverbank. I saw something strange a few weeks ago on the Mekong River near my home here in Hackettstown, New Jersey. I was driving home from the drugstore on Newburgh Road. As I drove near the bridge over the river, I noticed to my left something I thought a fisherman standing in the river just off the south bank. I slowed the car and looked closer. It wasn't a person. Like it was transparent like with a weird shape. It moved slowly towards the bank and into the trees. I drove further so I could see it coming out of the trees. That's the last I saw of it. It was 8 feet tall or so and had long, thin arms hanging off it. The color was a pale brown, but I could see through it. The head was small compared to the body. It was sunny that day, so I thought it may be a glare from the water, but after I thought back, I realized that I wasn't seeing a glare. I checked the internet and didn't see anything about it. I mentioned it to a coworker in my office at lunch on Monday. He gave me the strangest look. I thought, uh-oh, he thinks I'm nuts. We went back to the computer and he brought up the Hackettstown forum with the Manus Man witness. So people claim that the Manus Man may have been an experiment gone wrong, um, and someone who couldn't control it just set it free near a river. It could have been a mutation in a breeding situation, unlike it being short, it would have been massive. Some people speculate that there are more than just one of these mantis men roaming around. The reason why most people think it's a giant mantis instead of being something else is because it looks and does nothing like a mantis. Camouflage, spreading its wings, the mouth, etc. Now, while most people think it might just be a large praying mantis, other people suggest that it might be an alien. Possibly, some aliens may look like insects in some way. It's impossible for the current atmosphere to sustain a praying mantis this large, so it's likely that the mantis is an aquatic creature resembling a praying mantis. So it's pretty cool. It could be an alien. Nobody really knows what the mantis man really is, and that kind of adds to the mystery of it, and I think that's kind of neat. And now we have 3 more left. we're going to talk about Mothman. Everyone's favorite Mothman. Let's get him. There he is. Hmm. All right, let me just close these here really quick. I don't want to go undo. Yeah, no, moth just flew in my face. Um, okay, this is super long. Everyone knows about the Mothman, so I'm not gonna read the article. I'm just gonna kind of say what I know about Mothman. So, a lot of people kind of associate Mothman with natural disasters. Um, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. He was called the Blackbird of Chernobyl. People even say they saw him around 9/11. And obviously during when the Silver Bridge collapsed in West Virginia. Um, it's he's associated with disaster. Some people believe that he causes these disasters. Some people believe that he's there to warn about these disasters. And he's usually kind of described the same as a dark, almost black, kind of like humanoid, bird-like creature with two giant glowing red eyes, kind of like it does, and like no like defined head. It just kind of has like two eyes, kind of like where a head should be almost. Kind of like on its chest. Like it doesn't have a neck, doesn't have a face. I mean, it does have a face, obviously, but like no defined head. It's um, it's neat. I love Mothman. Mothman's like really popular in the cryptid community. Mountain Monsters kind of did a horrible job at representing Mothman. They kind of said that it can like teleport. He can't teleport. They tried using a giant bug zapper to trap him. It Mountain Monsters was a mess. I mean, I feel bad that the lead investigator died, but I mean that show it was entertaining, but it was just a mess. But no, Mothman, he's pretty infamous in cryptid culture. And in Point Pleasant, there's that giant statue of Mothman in the town that you can go and visit, and it'll kind of remind you. And it's like a memorial in a way to the Silver Bridge and Mothman. Um, it's just pretty cool. It's neat. And when the pandemic started, somebody actually got on the Mothman statue and put a mask on him to protect him from the coronavirus. I thought that was pretty neat. So I really don't need to spend a lot of time talking about Mothman though, since everybody pretty much knows what the Mothman is. All right, so we got two more left, and they're both worms. We're gonna talk about the Mongolian death worm right now. Once I can get his picture, there he is. Okay, that's a good sign. Let me just actually make that a little bigger. Hmm. Mongolian death worm um, is an alleged creature that is allegedly exists in the Gobi Desert in Mongolia. The creature first came to Western attention as a result of Roy Chapman Andrews in 1926, his book of On the Trail of the Ancient Man. Um, the American paleontologist was not convinced by the tales of the monster that he heard at a gathering of Mongolian officials. None of those present had ever seen the creature, but they all firmly believed in its existence and described it minutely. In 1983, a specimen of Tartar sand boa was shown to locals who claimed to have seen the Mongolian death worm, and they confirmed that this was the animal. It's described as being shaped like a sausage, about 2 feet long, has no head nor legs, and is so poisonous that merely to touch it means instant death. It lives in the most desolate parts of the Gobi Desert, and it's known to kind of follow people. in the sand, and it can emit an electric discharge, and it can spray venom from its mouth and everything, and it's really really toxic, and it's very very deadly. Um, and they said it hibernates most of the year except for June and July when it becomes active. And hey, June's coming up in a couple weeks, guys. He's about ready to wake up, so stay out of the Gobi Desert till August. Um, yeah, but it says touching any part of the worm could cause instant death or tremendous pain. Um, and it preys on camels, and it laid eggs in its intestines. Um, and eventually acquired the trait of its red-like skin. Its venom supposedly corrodes metal, and local folklore tells a prediction for the color of yellow. The worm is also said to have a preference for local parasitic plants such as the goyu. So yeah, no, he's a he's toxic. So he's more toxic than your ex. So don't don't get near him. Don't get near him. I need Sinkhole Sam. Oh, there he is. Let's say engage Elise. I put Sinkhole Sam and I got something completely different. Here's Sinkhole Sam. Sinkhole Sam is a worm-like creature said to inhabit a portion of Inman Lake in Kansas known as the Sinkhole. Before America was colonized by Europeans, Kansas was covered in small streams, lakes, and rivers. But since then, it has been blocked up and dried, only leaving a few lakes and streams. Locals theorize that Sam is actually a prehistoric creature that lived in flooded underground caverns and it somehow led into the lake. The first known account of the beast came from two fishing men at the sinkhole when they saw the creature. Following this event, Albert Neufeld and George Rigger also claimed to have seen the creature, claiming that it was approximately 15 feet in length and as round as an automobile tire. Sightings of the creature have stopped over the years, leaving us to wonder if the creature died or has gone back into the cavern from whence it came. So Sinkhole Sam, it's a giant worm that lives in water, and I love this artwork of him that we like. He looks so happy. He looks so happy. So with that cryptid, guys, with Sinkhole Sam out of the way, that is the last cryptid on tonight's list. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure that like button. You can dislike it if you dislike it. I heard if you dislike this video, oh gosh, let me think for a minute here. I heard if you dislike this video, hmm, hmm. One of those giant mosquitoes that we talked about earlier will be outside your window, and he will be drinking, just slurping up gallons upon gallons of your orange juice. If you don't want him to drink your orange juice, the only way to ward off that giant mosquito is to hit that like button. If you're new, guys, consider hitting that subscribe button, become a member of the Crypto Crew today. Check out again all my social media links in the description below. We got Discords, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook. So be sure to check us out on there. Also, guys, be safe with everything going on in the world. Places are starting to open back up, but still do your part. Maintain social distancing, wear your mask, keep clean, and just be safe out there, guys. I know you will. So I thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. You've been watching Cryptocast. I've been your host, Parker. Stay spooky, and I'll see you in the next Cryptocast Live.